2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, the 23rd of February, and it's Banana Bread Day. And a big happy birthday to Emily Blunt, Tamsin Greig, Kristin Davis, and Dakota Fanning. Vladimir Putin's so-called peacekeepers rolled into the newly declared Russian-friendly republics of Donetsk and Lugansk almost immediately following his speech on Monday. But he wasn't content to leave it at that, asking the Russian parliament for permission to use Russian armed forces outside of Russia. He also pledged support for the newly formed rebel states with all options on the table.
We will provide all type of assistance. If there's a conflict, of course, we will follow through on the obligations that we undertook.
The Ukraine has now called up its army reserves, and US President Joe Biden spoke to the media on Tuesday evening, calling the Russian actions the beginning of the first tranche of sanctions on Russian banks, sovereign wealth funds and oligarchs.
Who in the Lord's name does Putin think gives him the right to declare new so-called countries on territory that belong to his neighbors? This is a flagrant violation of international law and demands a firm response from the international community.
The response across Europe to Vladimir Putin's planned extension of Russia has been unanimous and swift. Germany announced that it would suspend approval of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline from Russia, which will have immediate impact on the Russian economy. The EU also issued sanctions on Russian banks and members of the Russian parliament, while Boris was busy announcing relatively limited sanctions in the House of Commons on 5 Russian banks and 3 high-net-worth individuals.
Any assets they hold in the UK will be frozen. The individuals concerned will be banned from travelling here. And we hold further sanctions at readiness to be deployed alongside the United States and the European Union if the situation escalates still further.
Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer was broadly welcoming of the sanctions, but he also wanted to know what action's being taken on the flows of Russian money and influence through the UK.
We need to draw a line on Companies House, providing easy cover for shell companies. We need to ensure our anti-money laundering laws are enforced, and we have to make sure money isn't pouring into UK politics from abroad.
There were 41,130 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday, with an additional 205 deaths announced. The Queen continues to rest at Windsor Castle as she cancelled some of her virtual engagements while she battles COVID, although only with mild cold-like symptoms so far. Meanwhile, Boris's announcement that free testing would end in April led to an immediate shortage of lateral flow kits as people rushed to claim as many as possible. Health Secretary Sajid Javid says the government is confident in lifting restrictions on Thursday.
The restrictions that we had introduced, they were never intended to become a way of life. Being able to remove them in the way that we did yesterday was a significant step forward. But of course, we do need to remain vigilant.
Immunologist Professor Christina Pagel says it's all very well to talk about individual responsibility as we learn to live with COVID, but we still need the tools to cope.
We're removing access to tests and removing support for people to self-isolate. How can we actually exercise that responsibility? We don't have the kind of infrastructure that we need to be able to be responsible.
The 3 white men convicted of murdering black jogger Ahmaud Arbery have now been convicted under federal law of committing a hate crime. The men, father and son Greg and Travis McMichael, and their neighbour William Bryan, were also found guilty of kidnapping and targeting Ahmaud simply because he was black. The fact they videoed the killing of the innocent jogger turned the case into a national scandal. After the verdict, Ahmaud's mother, Wanda Cooper-Jones, criticised the Department of Justice for initially accepting a plea deal from the 3 men.
We got a victory today. But there's so many families out there who don't get victories because of people that we have fighting for us. Come on now. The way Ahmaud left here, I knew that we would get victory on the state level and in the federal level. I knew that from day one.
Still to come on the Smart 7, big news in the world of podcasting, and Ben Stiller's picked up a new skill right after this. Welcome back.
The Champions League last 16 continued on Tuesday with Villarreal facing Juventus and current Champions League holders Chelsea facing French side Lille. The final of this year's Champions League is due to take place in Moscow, slightly awkward as Russia invades fellow UEFA member Ukraine, and there have been calls to have the final moved. In the first leg of the knockout round, Villarreal drew 1-1 with Juventus, while Chelsea were comfortable 2-0 winners at Stamford Bridge. Manager Thomas Tuchel was happy with the clean sheet, but said Lille were deserving of respect.
They were a strong team, the opponent, and for us it's a little bit in the games, a little bit of up and down. We have some very good moments, some a bit weaker moments, some unforced errors, some easy ball losses where we sometimes suffer, but we never gave big chances away, and we were solid, and was hard teamwork.
There was dramatic media news on Tuesday as two high-profile BBC stars quit the corporation to join the exciting world of podcasting. Yep, podcasting. Former BBC North America editor John Sopel and current BBC Newsnight presenter Emily Maitlis are teaming up with Brexit cast producer Dino Sophos to create a show they humbly described as a milestone moment for podcasting. Better not be a daily news show in 6 minutes, that's all I'm saying. Back off, Maitlis. Sorry. Anyway, before she disappears to global towers to start afresh, let's enjoy some of the Maitlis magic on Newsnight. Prince Andrew, Emily will see you now.
She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat.
There's a hot new show in town. It's a thriller called Severance, and you can find it on Apple TV+. It's set in New York City, where a company called Lumon Industries lets employees separate their work memories and non-work memories. So you never have to think about work when you're at home. But it's not that simple. It stars Adam Scott, Christopher Walken, Patricia Arquette and more. Hollywood star Ben Stiller has turned his hand to directing it, and he says it's been an intriguing process developing the show over the last 5 years.
When it takes a while to get something made, you also are reminded that it's something that's worth doing, because when you still feel that desire to make it when it's not the easiest thing to get done, that really, to me, that just reinforces the initial instinct. So this one was one that I just knew from the beginning as I wanted to see this show, and I thought it brought up all sorts of interesting possibilities.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.